General Secretariat of the Council of the European Union Information Services Unit, Rue de la Loi 175, 104 at Brussels, Belgique, 27th of July 2020, PTM Europe Protest Resolution. Over the last 4 decades, Pashtuns on both sides of the Durand Line have been suffering from a war which is not theirs. The war has had devastating effects for almost every Pashtun. Besides loss of countless lives, thousands have been abducted by the intelligence agencies. Millions of Pashtuns have been forced to flee their homes and villages and take shelter in refugee camps under inhumane circumstances. Schools, hospitals, and every other basic infrastructure have been bombarded or closed. All these crimes have been taking place under the pretext of a fake war on terror. In reality, it is a systematic genocide of Pashtuns and occupation and plunder of their natural resources. Pakistani military has received more than $22 billion from the United States alone in the so-called war against terror for the past 17 years. In reality, Pakistan has invested this money not only to train, arm and finance terrorist groups, but also to carry out oppressive military operations against Pashtuns in Pashtunkhwa and Fata. Since their operations in Fata, Pakistani military, its intelligence agencies and their proxies have killed around 60,000 innocent Pashtun civilians. Furthermore, they have abducted an estimated 8,000 civilian Pashtuns whose fate and whereabouts are still unknown. Suicide attacks, extrajudicial killings, assassinations of political and tribal leaders, abductions, torture, destructions of homes, schools, hospitals, businesses, centers and whole villages and towns, and displacements of people by force, humiliations of civilians at military checkpoints take place on daily basis. No Pashtun, whether political or tribal leader, teacher, doctor, police officer, human rights activist or ordinary worker is safe from the intimidation, torture and other random brutality of Pakistani security forces. As a result of such unbearable atrocities, agony and despair, Pashtun Tahfuz movement PTM, a grassroots non-violent human rights movement, was born. Led by the young Pashtun Manzoor Pashtun, PTM has been raising the voice of Pashtuns, demanding their basic rights within the international laws and Pakistani constitution. Besides demanding a stop to the atrocities committed by the Pakistani security forces, PTM demands the establishment of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission and presenting the forcefully disappeared Pashtuns before the court of law. This voice has been echoed in the form of demonstrations by millions of Pashtuns, not only in Pashtunkhwa and Balochistan, but also human rights activists, intellectuals and peace-loving people all around the world. Today's demonstration is a continuation of the protest in support of the legitimate demands of PTM. We, the demonstrators, urge the United Nations Security Council, European Union, the Belgian government and all peace-loving nations to exert pressure on Pakistani government and the military and its intelligence agencies to agree to the following demands. Pakistani military and its intelligence agencies must immediately stop assassination, abduction, intimidation, harassing and surveillance of PTM leaders, members, supporters, as well as other human rights defenders. Arman Looni, Sardar Arif Wazir and several other PTM activists were killed by the ruthless state and its proxy non-state actors. We demand justice for them from the state of Pakistan. Release PTM and other activists such as Hanif Pashtun, campaigning for peace, human rights and exposing the crimes of the military who are prisoned without or on false charges. All Pakistani military, intelligence and police officers, including Rao Anwar, must be brought to justice for the involvement in extrajudicial killings of innocent civilians and crimes against humanity. Pakistani military and its security and intelligence agencies must stop militarization of Pashtun populated regions. Pakistani military and its security and intelligence agencies must present all missing persons to the court of law. In case they are found not guilty, they must be released immediately and compensated for the hardship they and their loved ones have endured. A Truth and Reconciliation Commission must be established for a thorough investigation of extrajudicial killings, civilian deaths in landmines, explosions and bomb blasts, and economic and social destruction of Pashtun populated regions and the whole country. Pakistani military must remove all unnecessary checkpoints, the main purpose of which seems to be the humiliation and harassment of Pashtuns. Tribal areas must all be cleared from landmines immediately. The government of Pakistan must close all terrorist training centers inside its territory, stop supporting terrorist groups and cease adding fuel to the flames of war. The government of Pakistan must completely rehabilitate the internally displaced persons and provide economic compensation to all those who suffered from the loss of life of their loved ones and their properties in the so-called war on terror. Reopen the trade routes of Pashtuns on both sides of the Durand line. Pakistani state has closed all trade gateways with Afghanistan. A sit-in protest has been going on since more than 50 days at Chaman, demanding the reopening of their trade routes with Afghanistan. Their demands must be honored. Pakistan is a member of European Trade Scheme Generalized System of Preferences Plus, which is GSP Plus status. A country needs to respect human rights and labor rights in order to fulfill the requirements of GSP Plus status. However, as described above, the Pakistani state clearly violates these requirements. We therefore call on the European Union to remove Pakistan from the list of GSP countries in hope of prevalence of human rights, peace and freedom around the world. Pashtun Tahfuz Movement, Europe. Thank you.